Do you know how valuable your music publishing can be? Well, if you don't, then you'll definitely want to check out our interview with Bill Murphy, Managing Director and Partner for Schubert Music Publishing in the U.S. We discuss why it's so important for new songwriters to learn the basics and have a solid understanding of music publishing, as well as the basic steps and best practices for you to set up your own publishing company, and much, much more. Right now.
This episode of the MUBUTV Insider video series is brought to you by the Music Business Registry. The Music Business Registry is the leading music industry publisher of the most up-to-date contact information for major and independent record label A&R, music publishers, artist managers, music attorneys, music supervisors, and much, much more. The Music Business Registry is the trusted industry standard and source serving the music business community for over 30 years with the most accurate and up-to-date contact information available. Their titles include the A&R Registry, the Film and Television Music Guide, the Music Publisher Registry, and the Music Attorney Registry. All of their publications are available in PDF, CSV, or online subscription. Visit musicregistry.com and use coupon code MUBUTV10 at checkout. That's musicregistry.com, coupon code MUBUTV10. When you're ready to put your music to work, musicregistry.com.
Hi, it's Ritch Esra from MUBUTV, where our mission is to educate, empower, and engage your music career. We're coming to you from Muse Expo in Burbank, California, where we managed to catch up with Bill Murphy, who is Managing Director and Partner for Schubert Music Publishing in the U.S. Bill, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me.
Schubert has a long history in Europe, and now you're here in the United States. Can you give us a little background on the company?
Yeah, well, to give you a bit of background, Schubert had started in the 90s when Andreas Schubert, the principal owner of the company, was living in Warsaw. And at the time he was promoting acts and he had a smaller record label, was sort of wheeling and dealing there, and saw that there was no real publishing infrastructure at all within the Eastern Bloc. So he saw an opportunity to set up something there, started opening offices in areas where there had not been a publishing office before, such as Romania, the Czech Republic, different Hungary, and since then they've expanded to 13 offices through the EU, and in 2011 approached Jeff Duncan to set up an office in the US. He was with Stage 3 Music. Jeff Duncan left in 2019 to go to another company, and I had worked with Andreas for my company, Pacific Electric Music, as a sub-publisher, and he had asked if I wanted to bring Pacific Electric in and work out a deal with him to bring the catalogs in that we had worked with. So since 2019, I've been the managing director for Schubert US.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, music publishing is one of the foundational elements of the music industry. And I'm wondering, can you talk about the importance of why songwriters and artists really need to have an understanding of the basics of music publishing and why it is so important to their career?
Yeah, I think they have the saying that it all starts with a song, and it really does. I think if your songs aren't really working, or if it's not communicating through your song, then it really is going to be an uphill battle to make your record work. So publishing is very important. It's one of these areas that artists are generally not that familiar with. So it does take a lot of effort, but it's really important for young artists to do their research, find out what publishing is all about, things that they need to take care of, such as getting proper metadata within their releases, making sure writers are set up properly within the Performing Rights Society, no matter where they are. Ultimately, it'll set them up so that they'll make sure they get paid on every fraction of a penny that comes in for them. So.
Okay. You know, we hear a lot about publishing administration and publishing deals. Can you talk about the distinction between the two? What are the pros and cons of each one?
What I generally tell people about co-publishing is co-publishing is a scenario where you have an artist or an act you're working with. They may need a bit of capital investment into a project. Co-publishing, you're buying in on a piece of the copyright. It's a bit of a lease of sorts. So you're a co-owner of the copyrights, or you're owning it outright if you're purchasing the copyrights. But there's like an equity stake in it, and there's money that can go into, say, promotion or touring or different expenses that come up. For administration, there are a number of administrative deals that we have done with bands who are very, very self-contained. Back in the day when I had worked at Bug Music, we had worked with a number of bands who were very self-contained. They had set up this touring network on their own. They recorded their own albums. They produced everything themselves. They usually wind up doing like an equity licensing deal with an indie label to put it out. And they wanted to maintain control over their copyrights. So for administration, it generally works out to be more of a agency type of setup, where we're acting as an agent on behalf of the writers and the artists, but we don't have an ownership stake.
Okay. What is a PRO, performing rights organization, and what role does it serve a songwriter or an artist?
The performing rights organizations will pay you, they will collect and pay you based on the public performance income, which is a part of the U.S. Copyright Act. It's a type of income that is earned through radio airplay, television, internet, multimedia, live stage performance, all these different types of scenarios. It does not relate to the other side of the coin, which is mechanical royalties, but it's strictly for primarily radio and internet performances at this point.
Okay. Can you discuss how valuable an artist's publishing can be to them so that they have an understanding of what that is?
Yeah, well, I think Bruce Springsteen could explain that pretty well now, because he just did a deal for some $500 million for his catalog. And he was one of these artists that throughout his entire career had kept control of all of his copyrights through the entirety of his entire recording career. And I believe his masters too. He struck a deal with Sony to get his masters back. So it can be quite valuable down the line, and you can really view it as something to be treated as like a legacy investment for your heirs and for your family members.
Okay. In your experience, Bill, what are the most common mistakes you see songwriters making in their careers?
I have to think about this. I think some of the mistakes I've seen songwriters do, where they might get into a deal that is not beneficial to them, or they may be very much in need of money, and they might do a deal without reading the deal or seeing what the repercussions of the deal down the line. So later on down the line, they suddenly realize they can't get their copyrights back, or they've signed away a much higher percentage than they should have. So my advice to these people in any instances is to always consult with an attorney if you're given a deal to look at. So.
Okay. Can you take us through the steps of what a songwriter or an artist needs to do to set up their own publishing company?
Yeah, people have asked me that before. They'll say, like, what do I need to do to be a publisher? And I joke about it, and I generally tell them, well, you just need to stand on a chair and say, I'm a music publisher. Because it is, in a lot of ways, it's a small business. So you're setting up as a small business. I think initially the steps you need to take are to make sure that you have a publishing company name for your publishing, that you make a decision as to which performing rights society to go through. In the US, that is ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. And then make sure that things are properly set up there for your publishing company name, and then for any songs that you want to register and collect for that. So.
Okay. Bill, are there any specific books or movies that you've seen or read throughout your life that were particularly inspirational to you, professionally speaking, that you can recommend to our audience?
I would say that the Randy Poe book on music publishing, which I'd forgotten the name of, but it's fantastic. And it has always served as sort of a great introduction to music publishing and to intellectual property in general. And he spells it out in a way that's very simple, very direct, very conversational. In terms of movies, I did get a little bit of a music industry lesson from the movie, I think it was 24 Hour Party People, which was about factory records. And they had talked about some of the catastrophically bad deals they had done, putting out various records. So there's actually a point where I think it was, there's the audio commentary where Tony Wilson talks about an instance where Warner Music Group are meeting with them, and they're in the process where they're desperately in need of money and they're trying to do a deal to sell off the masters to Warner's. And the guy that comes in from Warner's realizes very quickly that they have no contracts with any of their artists at all. And they have this single piece of paper that said the artist can take their masters and go anywhere. And in the audio commentary, he had said, he realized later that if we had just not signed that little one-page piece of paper, that we would have been okay. We wouldn't have been able to sell the masters because we paid for them. But, you learn. So he learned a very hard lesson in contract law at that point.
Bill, what advice do you have for songwriters and artists who are interested in pursuing a career as a professional musician, songwriter, or artist?
I would have to say that nowadays, and my friend Eric here knows this very well, but if you're going to be putting out music or being an artist in any way, you have to get a certain comfort level with social media, with technology, with metadata. It's unfortunate that you have to, in some ways, have like a minor in data science, but it's just so necessary. Because I've worked with a few artists recently that they're wonderful singers and writers, and they make this gorgeous music, but they're not really comfortable with Instagram. And they say, well, do I have to post to Instagram? And as much, I don't particularly like to post to Instagram either, but it's like for an artist, you kind of have to do that. You have to get a comfort level with it, or find someone who can work with you who does have a comfort level for that. So it's a necessary tool. And as everything is moving more towards the tech space, you just have to be willing to speak that language.
Some really great insights from Bill on understanding the value of music publishing in your career, especially for all of you considering opening up your own music publishing company. So, insiders, question of the day. From this video, what were the most valuable takeaways to you from our conversation with Bill? Was it the importance that music publishing serves in your career? Or was it the distinctions between a publishing deal and an administration deal? Or was it what you need to do to set up your own publishing company in the most efficient way? Or maybe it was something else that stood out to you. If you have any ideas or experiences that you'd like to share regarding this video, we'd love to hear from you and connect in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to MUBUTV for more information on how to educate, empower, and engage your music career. You can also check out a summary of this episode and everything we talked about in the YouTube description as well. And if you enjoyed this video, we'd really love it if you hit the like button and let us know what other kinds of videos and types of content you want to see on our channel. Hit us up in the comments below. And we'll see you in the next video.